kind of a different show. Not something you see too often on television.
Yeah, I mean, that's the exciting thing about it. I think it has, in some ways, it is familiar because it's a cop show, but it is set in the 70s, and then there's this whole kind of time-traveling science fiction element that I think really gives it an interesting edge.
Did you guys have to do research about the 70s and the styles and the look and so forth, or was that something that was pretty natural to remember?
I personally, wasn't around in the 70s, so I did some research. I wanted to really know kind of what was happening in the times, not just for for personal reasons, and able to be able to know what kind of music was popular and what the social kind of things that were going on, and just to know the times and kind of get that more natural feel. I mean, I personally wanted to know about that before we started, so yeah, I did some research.
Yeah, I spent time with a detective, a friend of mine who was a detective in New York in 1973, and just learned about what it was like being an actual detective at the time, and how you get to that point, and what all that meant.
This show is based off of a show of the same name from England. Did you watch the show, the English version, before doing this one?
I watched the pilot episode, the first episode, and that was it. I didn't want to get too. I didn't want to have to compare it too much or have too much of a reference point. I really wanted to try to make this show its own thing as much as possible.
Jonathan, you're working with the same wonderful producers that you were working with in October Road. That's got to be pretty fun and pretty exciting because, these guys were praised for that show.
Right, it's great. Going into a new show, you always have new people, and there's always that dynamic. You're curious about how people are going to get along, and how you're going to relate to these guys. And it was nice to go into it and have familiar faces and guys that were such fans of the work I did from before, that they thought that I would be a good match for this show. So it was definitely it was a relief to know that I was going in there and already had some friends on my side.
Now, for the look that you guys have for this show, is it like, have you had to grow extra facial hair that may have taken extra weeks and so forth, or?
Me? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my hair was a little bit long. This? I don't know. A few weeks? A month? I don't know. It wasn't that long. Thank God. But yeah, a lot of the detectives back then in 1973, they're kind of, even though politically they were at odds with the hippies, but fashion-wise and style-wise, they kind of were influenced by them. So that's what kind of my look kind of came out of, Also, the movie Serpico, which came out around then, actually had a really big influence on the look of detectives and plainclothes cops then. Even if they weren't undercover, they kind of adopted some of those elements in that, and that's where my kind of thing is influenced by.
Michael, with the look you have now, do people still recognize you as Christopher from The Sopranos?
Yeah, they do, but a lot less than they did if I don't have it. So.
Just what do you think, Michael, is the history of The Sopranos and the history of television?
I think I think The Sopranos really kind of came at a point where TV was kind of like a bit stale, and I think it really raised the bar and gave people the idea that audiences want things that are kind of out of the box and out of the usual comfort zone, and were willing to follow a lead character that was not just a good guy, who had a lot of, bad sides to him. And, I think if you look at since The Sopranos, the latitude of what's on television has really kind of expanded, and I think David Chase had a lot to do with that.
Jonathan, are you still working on the series Wildfire?
No, sadly, Wildfire is no longer on the air, but I did do a few episodes of that last year, and sadly, that's not on the air. But yeah, I think the gig I have now is taking up most of my time, and just trying to enjoy that.
What do you got? You have a couple of things going on?
I know.
Couple
I
of
got a lot of
series
stuff
at once?
going on, huh? Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, I also wanted to say, I see from your bio you're a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. And I know
boy.
the Cowboys are suffering a bit, but it could be much worse. It could be the Detroit Lions.
It could be, it could be the Detroit Lions, yes.
And I think you got the last rising star of the Detroit Lions now on your team, so
Right. Well, that's the one positive from from last week, but everything else is we're going to turn it around. I have faith. We got a good shot. We just got to band together. So we're going to see.
Michael, I've got as I am a TV geek, we have a movie geek as well on our staff, and he was wondering about a couple of the new movies you have coming out, Lovely Bones and Hungry Ghosts. How are they looking and turning out?
Lovely Bones probably won't be out for a year. That's Peter Jackson's movie. I think I saw parts of it, and it looks really, really good. I mean, he's he's an exciting director and a visionary guy. So I think that's going to be cool. The Hungry Ghost is something that I wrote and directed, and we just submitted it to the Sundance Film Festival, which goes in January. So we're waiting to hear if we get accepted to that or not. But that stars Steve Sciarippa from The Sopranos. He's the star of that movie.
Has there been talk going on about the film initiative here in Michigan, where we passed a bunch of incentives to bring the entertainment community out here in Michigan? Has there been any buzz about that you've heard of?
Well, no, because New York recently passed a big tax incentive in the last year or so. So a lot of work has come here. So that's kind of what's been on everybody's mind lately. But if you can beat that, I guess we'll be shooting Life on Mars out in Grand Rapids or Michigan somewhere. If you can top what they're offering.
What other than obviously the time travel aspect of the show, what else makes this unique? What makes Life on Mars, in your opinion, the original aspect that you were drawn to?
It has a really good sense of humor. And I think to have that on a cop show is really great. In some ways, it reminds me a bit of Rockford Files, which was a show that I really, really liked, and I thought was really intelligent and had a great, it was a great cop show, watching him catch the bad guy every week, but it also had a really great sense of humor, and he was really kind of a very human character and flawed, and I think we bring a lot of that to the show, to Life on Mars.
Yeah.